Good morning, Dean Graciela Moshkovsky, Associate Dean Andrew Mendelson, CUNY Trustee Ken Sunshine, Executive Vice Chancellor and University Provost Wendy Hensel, Keynote Speaker Terrence Samuel, Class Speaker Molly Bygone, and the Class of 2022. Yes. It's hard to believe I'm standing here today welcoming you all as new Newmark alumni. In drafting this speech, I reflected on what those final days and weeks were like, and honestly, it's all kind of a blur. I assume, like all of you, I was sending job applications while pretending to pay attention in class. I was running on a strict kiss my slice and blew my tortilla soup diet. Fortunately, I did hand in my capstone on time, and I must have put on a heck of a poker face that entire time because I remember Dean Moshkovsky, then the director of the bilingual program, summoned me into her office one day to ask if I was really okay, with utter sincerity. Apparently, my stiff upper lip was cause for concern, and how I responded, she will have to tell me later because I genuinely don't remember. I am so thrilled to be here today welcoming you all as the class of 2022. Though it may not seem like it now, you've made it. And you are joining the ranks of the Newmark Alumni Club that includes some of the scrappiest, most devoted, and kindest reporters of our profession. And that's by design. If you take nothing else away from your 3 semesters at the J School, I hope you learned that journalism is at its best when it's collaborative in the fullest sense of the term, when it speaks to communities and not at them, and when approached with genuine intellectual curiosity and respect. I owe so much of who I am as a reporter and a person to this school. Like many of you here, I came to New York to see what I was made of. I'm from a very rural, small town in Southwest Puerto Rico and was in J School orientation 2 weeks after my college graduation. Aside from a single internship, I didn't have any real-world journalism experience. Didn't really have an ounce of cynicism in me. I thought foil was what you wrapped your leftovers in. I didn't know what a beat memo was, and frankly, I was afraid to ask. For me, it took some trial and error. The first few months, I felt like I was good at being a student. I did all the readings, and I handed in all my assignments on time, but not so much at being a reporter. The first time I was sent out to a person on the street assignment, I was so nervous I sat on a bench and cried for like 20 minutes. By the second semester, I was taking reporting trips with one of my classmates to Philadelphia to meet opioid users from Puerto Rico and the shady characters who sold them on the promise of a better life that never materialized. We put ourselves in some pretty scary situations in what was, at the time, an unfamiliar city for both of us, and in a neighborhood home to one of the largest open-air drug markets in the nation to get the story. Not bad for someone who was afraid of strangers and didn't know how to set up a tripod her entire first semester. I probably learned as much, if not more, about the job out on the beat and from my fellow classmates than I did in the classroom, which is of course the whole point of the program. Errol and Daryl would say in our urban reporting class that the J School, more than anything else, is a trade school, and that's absolutely correct. It was by listening to my classmates in the newsroom that I began to hone the art of interviewing people. And we all taught each other how to set up equipment quickly and efficiently, find sources, and learn to live with getting doors slammed in our faces and laugh about it at printers the next day. Look around you. The folks you goof off in the newsroom now are not just your colleagues, but also your friends and confidants, and will be there in life and career. I also want you to take away, it may not seem again like it now, just how fun J School is. We went to a shooting range. I learned how to tie a tourniquet. We interviewed marathon runners. There were people who crushed cranberries, all for assignment, all for class credit. Nowhere else can you do that. All I ever wanted from my journalism career was to have impact, however small, and improve people's lives, to ask tough questions and help expose abuses of power on behalf of vulnerable people, to stand up for the little guy. 2 years ago, my colleague Josefa Velazquez and I published an investigative feature for this city looking at the exploitative and dangerous nature of app-based food delivery work here in New York. It's an industry that exploded during the lockdown and spawned the blossoming labor movement led by indigenous Mexican and Guatemalan workers in Brooklyn. Many companies resisted and flat out denied what workers showed us at the time, that they were being cheated out of wages and tips, that their job was genuinely dangerous, that they were not gig workers, but rather toiled for these platforms full-time, investing thousands of dollars in equipment and insurance in the process, earning paltry wages to live and support their families in one of the most expensive cities in the world. Many restaurants wouldn't even let them use the bathroom, even during the lockdown, when delivery was the only way many of those businesses could afford to stay open. Today, these workers are on a path to a $23 hourly pay rate by 2025 and enjoy several new workplace protections, including, yes, the right to use a bathroom. It was a story that I was able to execute in part because of the skills and values that I learned at the J School. There is power in showing up. Our job is not glamorous, it's often tedious, but it can be a lot of fun when you're out talking to people. I can't even tell you how many events I went to thinking they'd be entirely fruitless assignments, community board meetings, rallies, social events, and end up stumbling on a big story. It's how on a muggy October afternoon I met a group of delivery workers eager to demonstrate what their jobs were really like to anyone willing to listen. There are stories everywhere. Meet people where they are. There are leaders in every community who are journalists and don't even know it. I'm grateful for the wisdom and generosity in sharing their ideas and experiences with me every day. Cultivate those sources. They will make you a better and more empathetic reporter. Accept the baseline level of humility. When you start out on an assignment, you might not have all the answers. That's fine. You are here to ask questions, to be rigorous, not to have all the answers or to make assumptions. On the other hand, don't be a pushover. Your job is to ask the powerful, tough questions on behalf of the people. If someone tells you no, do it twice. Stay the course and follow the facts always. I once heard from someone who had pissed off a source with their question and said, quote, "Judge me by what I report, not what I ask." It's a useful line. I use it often, whenever I need to. We all know that this industry is unpredictable, chews you up and spits you out, and changes with the whims of whatever tech corporation or whatever hedge fund decides will improve their profit margins that quarter. You need a brand, an online presence, your own audience, but if there's anything I've learned, it's this. The basic principles, decency, honesty, transparency, and the pursuit of truth without fear or favor will never change. I'm so excited to see all the work you do. Go out and show the world what you're made of. Congratulations to the class of '22.